It's just an ordinary Tuesday. You're stepping out to grab milk, or maybe drop off a package. The kind of errand you've done 100 times. You lock your door. You walk down the street. The world feels normal, safe. Then you vanish. No scream, no struggle, no sign of a chase. One moment you're there, the next, gone. Like smoke, like you were never there at all. That's what happened to Lori Bray, a woman who lived a life so ordinary it was almost predictable. But this isn't just another missing persons case, because the cold, unblinking eye of a security camera, it saw everything, and what it captured that day, it defied logic. It baffled seasoned investigators. It showed something impossible. Lori didn't just disappear into the shadows. She was erased, right there, on camera. But the footage? That was just the beginning. What happened after Lori vanished? The clues that surfaced? The things that made hardened detectives question everything they thought they knew. Believe me, you wouldn't believe your eyes either. So who was the woman who vanished into thin air? Lori Bray wasn't someone who craved excitement. She didn't chase adrenaline. In fact, if you asked anyone who knew her, they'd tell you Lori avoided surprises. Life, for her, was about control. Picture this: a 34-year-old accountant from Oakwood, Ohio. A town so quiet, you could hear the mail truck from 3 streets away. Her world was spreadsheets, coffee breaks at 10:15 sharp, and evenings spent rewatching old sitcoms with her tabby cat, Miso. She was a creature of habit, religiously. Mondays, meal prep. Tuesdays, grocery run, always 7 p.m., always at Green's Market. 6 a.m. every single morning, a 3-mile jog, rain or shine. Bedtime, 10 p.m., not 10:01. Her friends joked she was less a person, more a human spreadsheet. Predictable, dependable, safe. That predictability was her armor. It made her feel grounded, secure. In a world that sometimes felt chaotic, Lori Bray had built herself a quiet, orderly life, right down to the minute, until November 12th, 2023. That Sunday started just like any other. She woke at 6, drank her single cup of black coffee, checked her calendar. Everything normal, everything planned. But by sunset, that predictability didn't just fade. It shattered, because the woman who lived by the clock was about to run out of time. It was just another Sunday evening, November 12th, 2023. The kind of day that blends into the week before it and the week after. Nothing special, nothing planned, just life. Lori Bray finished her shift at the accounting firm right on time, 5:30 on the dot. Like always, she gathered her things, a sensible beige purse, a reusable shopping bag folded neatly inside. She waved a casual goodbye to a couple of coworkers still at their desks. "See you tomorrow, Lori." One called out. She might have smiled back, maybe just nodded. It was that kind of ordinary exchange, the kind you forget seconds later. She walked out the door, into the fading November light. Nothing felt wrong. Nothing felt out of place. It was just Lori heading home. She got into her car, a reliable, compact sedan silver. Nothing flashy, nothing that would draw attention. She started the engine, maybe adjusted the mirror, maybe turned on the radio to some soft background noise, news, maybe light music. And then she pulled out of the office parking lot, turning left onto Maple Street, heading towards her apartment, a drive she'd done hundreds, maybe thousands of times. Muscle memory. She knew every pothole, every stop sign, the exact rhythm of the traffic lights. And this is where the cameras start telling the story. Because in our world, eyes are everywhere. Silent witnesses. Oakwood wasn't a big city, but it had its share of security cameras. Outside the bank on the corner, above the door of Maggie's Diner, where the neon coffee cup sign buzzed softly, mounted on the pole at the quick-fill gas station. They weren't fancy cameras, grainy sometimes, especially as the daylight faded, but they worked. They recorded. They saw Lori's silver car glide past the bank at 5:37 p.m. Just a blurry shape behind the windshield, but it was her car, her route. She drove steadily, not speeding, not dawdling, just driving home. Past the diner's warm, greasy glow at 5:42 p.m., past the brightly lit windows of the gas station convenience store at 5:48 p.m. Maybe someone pumping gas glanced at her car. Maybe they didn't. She was just another person heading home after work, invisible in her normalcy. The final stretch was a quiet back street, lined with old brick buildings and tall, leafless trees. Her apartment building was at the end, a 3-story walk-up. Instead of the front entrance, Lori always used the alley behind the building. It was closer to her assigned parking spot, tucked away behind the dumpsters. A shortcut, a habit, predictable. She signaled, though probably no one was behind her, and turned into the alley. The clock ticked over to 5:52 p.m. The alley was narrow, paved with cracked asphalt. High brick walls rose on either side, blocking most of the remaining daylight. It was dim back here, even with the weak glow of a single security light mounted high above the building's back door. This light, and the camera bolted next to it, were the only real witnesses to what happened next. The camera covered the back door, the dumpster area, and a slice of the parking spots. It was this camera's feed that investigators would later pull, study frame by agonizing frame, searching for answers that never came. Lori pulled into her usual spot. You can see the headlights cut off as she turned the engine off. The driver's side door opened, and Lori Bray stepped out into the cool evening air of the alley. She was wearing her work clothes, probably sensible slacks, a blouse, maybe a light jacket. She closed the car door firmly. Maybe she hit the lock button on her key fob. That little chirp sound echoing slightly in the quiet alley. Routine. Automatic. She had her keys in one hand, probably her phone in the other, or maybe tucked into her purse. She started walking towards the building's back door. It was only about 15, maybe 20 feet from her car, a short walk she'd done countless times, past the large, green dumpster that always smelled faintly of garbage, even when it was empty. She might have glanced at it, a habitual look, or maybe just focused straight ahead on the door. This is it, the last completely normal moment. The last moment where Lori Bray was just Lori Bray, coming home from work. The woman who balanced spreadsheets, who fed her cat miso at precisely 6:15 p.m., who liked her sitcoms and her predictable Tuesday grocery runs. She was right there, solid, real, breathing the slightly stale alley air. She took maybe 2, 3 steps past the dumpster, heading for the door, keys jingling slightly in her hand, ready to slide the key into the lock, step inside the dimly lit back hallway, climb the stairs to her apartment, ready for the ordinary evening that was waiting for her, the evening that never came. And here's where things get strange. It wasn't a loud strangeness. Not at first. It was a subtle shift, a wrongness in the ordinary. On the camera footage, you see Lori pause. Not a full stop, but a hesitation, a falter in her step. Like she stubbed her toe on nothing, or like a sudden, sharp thought hit her. Her head turned slightly, not towards the door, not towards her car, but towards the deeper shadows down the alley, past the dumpster, away from the light. What did she see? What did she think she saw? The camera shows nothing, just the empty alley, the brick wall, the patches of darkness. She doesn't look scared. Not yet. More confused. Distracted. Her body language changes. The easy stride is gone. She seems unsettled. Like she heard a sound the microphone on the camera didn't pick up. A scraping noise? A whisper? A voice? Or maybe just a trick of the wind catching a loose piece of metal. But the air was still that evening. Reports said it was calm. Quiet. She looks down at her keys. Did she drop them? Or did she just loosen her grip? Because suddenly the keys are falling, slipping from her fingers. They hit the asphalt with a small, metallic clatter that the camera's audio definitely picks up. A sharp, sudden sound in the quiet alley. It seems to startle her, this dropping of the keys, breaking whatever strange trance held her for that second. She bends down, a natural reaction, to pick up the keys she'd dropped. She leans over, reaching towards the ground near her feet. Her hand stretches out towards the keys. Her head is down, focused on the task, retrieving her keys. A simple, everyday act. Something anyone would do. This bend, this simple movement to pick up a dropped object, it takes a second, maybe 2, a blink in the grand scheme of things. But in that blink, in the space between Lori Bray bending down and Lori Bray standing back up, everything changed. Forever. She bends down, and she never straightens up. The camera records it. One frame. Lori Bray leaning over, hand reaching for her keys on the dirty alley floor. The next frame, nothing. Just empty asphalt. The keys are still there, lying where they fell. But Lori is gone. Vanished. Like she was never standing there at all. Like the air itself swallowed her whole in that fraction of a second between one camera frame and the next. No flash. No puff of smoke. No sound of struggle. No figure rushing in or out. Just gone. From bending over to retrieve her keys to absolute, terrifying emptiness. The alley was silent. The camera kept recording, showing nothing but the dumpster, the back door, the parked car, and Lori Bray's keys lying abandoned on the cold ground. At 5:52 p.m., on an ordinary Sunday, the predictable world of Lori Bray simply ceased to exist. And the mystery began, not with a bang, but with the chilling silence of an empty alley and a set of dropped keys. This is the part where the ordinary street cameras stop, and the one camera that saw everything begins. The camera mounted above the back door of Lori Bray's apartment building. It wasn't a high-tech device. It was old, probably cheap. The kind of camera businesses buy in bulk. Its lens was smudged. The picture was grainy, especially in the low light of the alley. The colors were washed out, mostly shades of gray and dirty yellow from the single security light. It recorded at a low frame rate, meaning it didn't capture smooth movement, but a series of slightly jerky still images, clicking over roughly every second or so. It saw the world in jumps, and it saw Lori Bray's last moments on Earth. The timestamp in the corner reads 5:52 and 17 seconds p.m. That's when the first relevant frame appears. It shows Lori's silver sedan, parked neatly in her usual spot. The driver's side door is open, and there she is, Lori Bray, stepping out of her car. It's a clear shot of her back as she stands up straight, one foot on the asphalt, the other still inside the car for balance. She's wearing dark pants, a lighter top, maybe a blouse or sweater. It's hard to tell the exact color in the gloom. Her hair is pulled back. She looks exactly like herself, coming home from work. Nothing out of place. She closes the car door firmly. You can almost hear the solid thunk it would have made. Then, frame jump. She's standing beside her car, facing the back door of the building, maybe 20 feet away. Her purse strap is over her shoulder. In her right hand, she's holding her keys. In her left hand, she's holding her phone. She glances down at it, not like she's reading a message intently, more like a quick check, a habit, maybe seeing the time, maybe just a reflex. Her expression is neutral, calm, focused on getting inside. The alley around her is empty. Just the dumpster, the brick walls, the parked car, and the patch of light near the door. Frame jump. She starts walking. Not fast, not slow. A normal pace, heading directly towards the building's back door. Her path takes her right past the large, green dumpster pushed against the left-hand wall. It dominates the left side of the frame. She's maybe 3 or 4 steps past her car now. Keys jingle slightly in her hand, unseen but implied by the way her arm moves. Her phone is still down by her side. Then frame jump. She freezes. It's not a full, dramatic stop like in the movies. It's a sudden hitch in her stride. Her left foot is slightly off the ground, mid-step, but she doesn't complete the movement. Her whole body goes still, tense. It's like someone pressed pause on her, but the rest of the alley, the faint sway of a stray plastic bag caught on the dumpster, the unmoving light continues. This stillness lasts only for the fraction of a second this single frame captures, but it's unmistakable. The calm focus is gone, replaced by alertness. Frame jump. Her head snaps sharply to the left. Not a casual glance, not a slow turn. It's a sudden, jerky movement. Her chin whips around. She's looking directly down the alley, past the dumpster, into the deeper shadows that stretch away from the security light's weak glow. Her eyes are wide. Her mouth might be slightly open. It's the look of someone who just heard something loud, sudden, and unexpected. Or saw something move. Something that startled her badly. But here's the chilling part. The alley is empty. The camera shows the space she's staring at. The brick wall. The shadowed ground. The corner where the alley turns. There's nothing there. No person. No animal. No blowing trash that could look like movement. Just deep, undisturbed shadow. Yet Lori is staring into it with absolute, focused intensity. Her body is angled towards it now, away from the safety of the back door. Every muscle seems taut. Ready for what? Flight. Fight. Confrontation with empty air? Frame jump. Still staring down the alley. Still frozen in that tense posture. The confusion on her face seems to deepen. It mixes with the startle. What is she seeing? What is she hearing? The camera microphone, if it picked up anything beyond the hum of the building or distant traffic, recorded no unusual sound. No shout. No growl. No scrape. Just the ordinary silence of a Sunday evening, settling over a quiet neighborhood. Yet Lori Bray looks like she's listening to something terrifying. Frame jump. Her gaze is still locked down the alley. But something changes. Her right hand, the one holding the keys, twitches. Or maybe it relaxes for a split second, overwhelmed by the shock of whatever she perceives. Because the keys fall. They slip from her fingers. You see them, a small metallic glint against the dark asphalt, already halfway to the ground in this frame. Her eyes flick down towards them for an instant. The intense focus on the shadows breaks. She looks startled again, but this time by her own clumsiness. The sudden, sharp clatter as the keys hit the ground must have been loud in the quiet alley. A real, tangible sound breaking the spell of whatever unreal thing held her attention. Frame jump. She's bending down. Her body is curving forward at the waist. Her knees are bending slightly. Her left hand, the one holding the phone, moves down towards her side, probably for balance. Her right hand is reaching straight down towards the keys lying on the ground near her feet. Her head is down, looking at the keys. Her face is mostly hidden from the camera's high angle now. Her hair falls forward. She's focused entirely on the simple grounding task, picking up her dropped keys, getting back to normal, shaking off whatever strange moment just happened. It's a natural human reaction. Retrieve the keys. Stand up. Go inside. Forget the weird feeling. This frame shows her leaning over, hand outstretched, fingers perhaps inches from grasping the key ring. Her body is a curve of dark clothing against the gray asphalt. The dumpster looms behind her. The security light casts her elongated shadow on the ground. This is the last frame Lori Bray appears in. Frame jump. The timestamp ticks forward. 5:52 and 23 seconds p.m. The camera captures the next image in its sequence. The alley is exactly the same. The dumpster. The brick walls. The parked car. The weak circle of light near the door. The keys are still there, lying on the ground in the exact same spot. But Lori Bray is gone. Utterly vanished. The space where she was bending over is completely empty. There is no sign of her. No blur. No streak of movement. No figure ducking out of frame. No puff of smoke. Nothing. Just the empty asphalt where she had been crouching seconds before. It's as if she was simply erased. Deleted from reality in the fraction of a second between one grainy frame and the next. The camera keeps recording, frame after frame after frame. The keys lie untouched. The car sits silent. The dumpster casts its shadow. The security light buzzes faintly unseen. But the spot where Lori Bray bent down to pick up her keys remains horrifyingly, impossibly empty. 1 second, a living, breathing woman, confused but real. The next second, nothing. Just shadows. And the cold, unblinking eye of a cheap camera, silently recording the void where she used to be. When Lori vanished, leaving only her keys on the cold asphalt, the police did what police do. They secured the scene. They interviewed neighbors, co-workers, friends. They searched the alley, the dumpster, the surrounding streets. They dusted her car for prints. They looked for signs of a struggle, a scuffle, anything torn or broken. They found nothing. Not a single thread out of place. The alley offered no clues. It was just empty. Their best hope, their only real witness, was that grainy security camera footage from above the back door. So they took it. They downloaded every second. And then, a team of detectives and video analysts sat down. In a dark room with big screens. They played the footage. Not once. Not twice. Dozens of times. Frame by agonizing frame. They looked for anything they might have missed in the chaos of the first viewing. Did someone peek around the corner of the dumpster? Was there a reflection in a window? A shadow that didn't belong? A face glimpsed in the deep gloom down the alley? They zoomed in. They enhanced. They adjusted the contrast, trying to pull detail out of the murky gray images. They watched Lori step out of her car. They watched her close the door. They watched her walk. They watched her freeze. They watched her head snap towards nothing. They watched the keys fall. They watched her bend down. They watched the empty space where she should have been. Over and over. The conclusion was maddening. No attackers. No hidden figures rushing in during the split second between frames. No arms grabbing her from off camera. No vehicles. No mysterious car pulling into the alley unseen. No engine sounds on the audio track besides her own car shutting off. Nothing entering or leaving the frame that could explain her vanishing. It was as if the alley itself had simply swallowed her. The footage showed an impossibility. A woman ceasing to exist between one heartbeat and the next. The investigators felt it. A creeping sense of disbelief, of frustration bordering on dread. How do you solve a crime when the crime scene itself defies the laws of physics? But then, one of the analysts paused the playback. Not on Lori vanishing, but a moment before. On the frame just after the keys hit the ground. The frame where Lori is beginning to bend down. Her focus is entirely on the keys at her feet. Her right hand is reaching down, and in her left hand, she's holding her phone. When she dropped the keys, startled by whatever she saw or heard, she must have also fumbled the phone. Because in this frame, the phone is no longer in her grasp. It's falling too. The next frame shows the phone hitting the ground. It lands hard on the asphalt, but it lands screen up, facing the sky, towards the camera. It's a common smartphone, maybe a couple of years old, a dark rectangle against the gray ground. It skitters slightly from the impact, then lies still, right there near her feet as she bends over it to pick up her keys. It's just part of the scene, another dropped object in the chaos of those confusing seconds before she disappeared. The analysts almost skipped past it. Just a dropped phone. Tragic, but not unusual. But something made one of them stop. Rewind. Zoom in tightly on the phone's screen as it lay there on the ground. In the frame where it lands, the screen is dark. Normal. Off. Just a black rectangle reflecting the dim alley light. But then the next frame. The timestamp. 5:52 and 21 seconds p.m. The phone is still lying there. Lori is still bending over it, her hand almost touching the keys. And the phone's screen lights up. Suddenly. Brightly. It wasn't activated by a fingerprint or a tap. It wasn't ringing. It wasn't buzzing with a notification. It just lit up, like it had received a powerful, silent command. The light from the screen was stark, unnatural in the gloom of the alley. It cast a small, eerie glow on the asphalt around it. On the video feed, it was a bright, white rectangle against the darkness. The analysts leaned in. What was it? An incoming call? A text message alert? A low battery warning? They zoomed in further, pushing the grainy footage to its absolute limit. The screen wasn't showing a familiar icon. Not a phone symbol. Not a text bubble. Not an app notification. The entire screen was filled with just one thing. One single, stark symbol. It wasn't a letter. Not from any alphabet anyone recognized. It wasn't a number. It wasn't a common emoji or logo. It was a shape. Simple, yet utterly unfamiliar. Imagine two overlapping circles, but not perfectly side by side like a Venn diagram. One circle was slightly larger, positioned above and slightly offset from the smaller one below. And connecting them, right through their centers, was a single, perfectly straight vertical line. That was it. No color. Just pure, glowing white lines against the black background of the phone's screen. A geometric design that meant nothing to the detectives staring at it. Nothing to the tech experts they called in. Nothing to the linguistics professors they consulted later. It was a symbol completely unknown. Alien. Out of place on this ordinary phone lying on dirty asphalt. They stared at it, frame after frame. The symbol remained. Bright. Unchanging. Silent. It dominated the phone's display. What did it mean? Was it a warning? A marker? A signal of some kind? How did it get there? Was it sent? Did it activate from within the phone itself? No one had answers. It was just there, glowing in the final moments before Lori Bray ceased to exist. And then the next frame, the crucial frame, the one where Lori vanishes. 5:52 and 22 seconds p.m. The analysts zoomed in again on the phone. They needed to see if the symbol changed, if it held any clue. But what they saw was almost as chilling as Lori's disappearance itself. The screen went black. Not like it powered down normally, fading out. It just snapped off. Instantly. From full, bright, symbol-filled light to absolute dead blackness. In the space of one frame. One fraction of a second. At the exact same moment Lori vanished from the frame above it. The phone lay there on the ground afterwards, inert. A dark, silent slab. The symbol was gone as if it had never been there. The screen remained black. Forever. When investigators later retrieved the phone from the alley, physically picking it up hours after the event, it was cold. Lifeless. Completely drained of power. No amount of charging, no technician's tricks, could ever get it to turn on again. It was just dead. The only physical clue left behind was as silent and empty as the spot where Lori Bray had last been seen. A glowing symbol nobody understood, flashing for a single, terrifying second in the dark, and then gone. Leaving only a deeper, more unsettling mystery behind. When a person vanishes without a trace, especially under impossible circumstances, people try to make sense of it. The mind rebels against the void. It demands answers, patterns, reasons. So, in the weeks and months after Lori Bray disappeared from that dimly lit alley, theories began to swirl. Some tried desperately to cling to the world we understand. Others peered into darker, stranger possibilities. The police investigation hit wall after wall. The public filled the silence with guesses. But none, fit perfectly. Each one crumbled when held against the cold, hard facts, or rather the cold, hard lack of them. Let's start with the most practical theory. Lori staged her own disappearance. Maybe she was unhappy. Maybe she had secret debts. Maybe she wanted a fresh start far away from her predictable life. It happens. People sometimes walk away. But why? And how? Look at the facts. Her wallet was found in her purse, inside her locked apartment. Cash, credit cards, ID, all there. Her beloved cat, Miso, was locked inside, hungry and confused. Her bank accounts haven't been touched. Not a single penny moved. Her passport sat in a drawer. She didn't pack a bag. She didn't withdraw large sums of money. She didn't tell a soul about any plan. She just vanished mid-step while picking up her keys, leaving her phone behind, glowing with that strange symbol. What elaborate escape plan involves vanishing into thin air on camera without taking anything? It doesn't add up. It feels like trying to force a square peg into a round hole. The pieces won't go. Why leave everything, her whole life, her pet, behind for nothing? Then there's the obvious, terrifying theory, abduction. Someone grabbed her. Fast, brutal, efficient. But look at the footage. Frame by frame. Where are they? The alley was empty before she froze. Empty when she stared at nothing. Empty when she dropped her keys. Empty when she bent down. And crucially, empty in the very next frame when she was gone. There is no figure rushing in. No arms snatching her from off camera. No blur of movement. No sound of a struggle, just the clatter of the keys. The camera angle covered the space around her. It showed the dumpster, the walls, the ground. There was nowhere for an attacker to hide, spring out, grab her, and vanish all within the fraction of a second between frames. It's physically impossible. Even the fastest human couldn't move that fast, let alone overpower someone silently and disappear without a trace captured on camera. The footage shows nothing, just Lori, then empty space. How do you abduct someone without ever being seen? How do you leave no footprint, no fiber, no scent for the dogs to follow? It defies the mechanics of the world we know. So when logic fails, people look elsewhere. The whispers started online, in forums dedicated to the strange and unexplained. Was it a glitch in reality? Like a skip in a videotape, but happening to the fabric of the world itself? Did something momentarily flicker? A tiny tear in the ordinary rules of space and time, right there in that alley? And Lori Bray simply fell through? Into somewhere else? Someone else. It's a mind-bending thought. It feels like science fiction. But the footage, that impossible jump from presence to absolute absence in a single frame, it looks like a glitch, like a digital error, but happening to flesh and blood. Could reality itself have a bug? And if so, where did she go? Is she trapped? Lost? Or simply erased? Others point to the symbol on the phone. That strange, unknown geometric shape that flashed to life seconds before she vanished. It didn't look like any known language, any corporate logo, any hacker's signature. What if it was a signal? What if Lori Bray wasn't random? What if she was targeted? The theory goes, someone or something was watching, waiting, maybe for a long time. They knew her routines. They knew she'd be in that alley at that exact time bending down. They sent that symbol, a trigger, a marker, to her phone. And then they activated something, some kind of technology far beyond what we understand. An energy beam, a teleporter, something that plucked her out of our reality instantly, cleanly, leaving only confusion and a dead phone behind. An experiment, a retrieval? But why Lori? A quiet accountant? What made her special? Or was she just unlucky? Convenient? The symbol is the key, they say. But a key to what? And who holds it? And then there are the oldest whispers. The ones that speak of things lurking in the corners of our world. Things we've forgotten how to see. Something far older. Something that belongs in the shadows, in the spaces between streetlights, in the quiet moments just before dawn. Folklore and legend from countless cultures speak of them. Entities, spirits, predators that exist just outside our perception. They watch. They wait. They hunger. Was there something in that alley? Something the camera couldn't see, but Lori could. Was that why she froze? Why she stared with such terror into the empty darkness? Did she sense it? Hear it? Did it call to her? Did it reach out from the gloom and simply take her? Not with technology, but with something ancient and cold? Something that moves through our world like a shark through water, unseen until it strikes? The alley was old, brick walls holding decades of history, of forgotten moments. Could something have been waiting there? Something patient, Something drawn to her predictability, her routine? The symbol on the phone, was it a sign of this presence? Or just a coincidence flickering in the face of an older, darker power? This theory offers no comfort, only a deep, chilling dread. It suggests the world isn't just strange, it's actively dangerous in ways we refuse to acknowledge. So we are left here, staring at the empty alley on the screen, staring at the theories. Logic offers us dead ends, staged disappearances that make no sense, abductions with no abductor. The unknown offers terrifying possibilities, glitches in reality, hidden experiments, ancient shadows reaching out from the dark. None have proof. All have holes. Yet, the facts remain stubbornly impossible. Lori Bray was there. Then she wasn't. The camera saw it happen. It saw nothing make it happen. It saw a phone light up with a symbol no one knows, then die at the exact moment she vanished. The police file remains open, gathering dust. The family waits, hearts heavy with a grief that has no grave to focus on. And we are left with the echoing questions. Which theory is closest to the terrifying truth? Or is the truth something else entirely? Something we haven't even dared to imagine yet? In the quiet of your own routine, in the familiar path you walk every day, the case of Lori Bray forces you to wonder. How solid is the ground beneath your feet? How real is the air you breathe? And what else might be walking beside you in the shadows just outside the frame? For weeks, the alley behind Lori Bray's apartment building was a silent tomb. Police tape fluttered. Forensics had come and gone, finding nothing. Her car was towed. Her keys were bagged as evidence. Her apartment sat locked, a shrine to a life interrupted. The case was slipping day by day into that cold, dark drawer marked unsolved. Hope was a thin, fraying thread. The only thing left was the echo of that impossible footage and the haunting glow of a symbol nobody understood. The world, it seemed, had swallowed Lori Bray whole and left no crumbs to follow. Then, 2 weeks to the day after she vanished, something happened. Something small. Something delivered with terrifying casualness. It was early morning, a gray, damp November dawn. Lori's elderly neighbor, Mrs. Gable, was taking out her recycling. She shuffled onto her front porch, bundled in a worn robe. And there it was, sitting squarely in the middle of Lori Bray's own doormat, like it had been placed there by an invisible hand. Lori's phone. Mrs. Gable recognized it instantly. She'd seen Lori use it 100 times. The same case, the same little scratch near the charging port. She called the police, her voice trembling over the phone. Officers arrived minutes later. They approached it like it might be a bomb. Cautious, gloved hands. They didn't touch it at first, just looked. It lay there, screen dark, seemingly inert, ordinary, but its presence was a scream in the quiet street. How? How did it get here? Who put it here? Why now? It had vanished with Lori. Now it was back. Alone. They bagged it, sealed it, treated it like the most dangerous piece of evidence they'd ever handled. Because in a way, it wasn't just a phone anymore. It was a message. A ghost returned. They took it straight to the State Forensic Tech Lab. No chances. No mistakes. This was the only physical link left to whatever took Lori Bray. In the sterile, brightly lit lab, surrounded by humming machines and experts in white coats, the phone was examined. Externally, it was pristine. No new scratches. No dirt from the alley. No fingerprints, not even Lori's old ones. It was clean, eerily clean, like it had been wiped down or never touched the ground at all. They plugged it into a specialized charger, designed to bypass security and monitor power flow. The moment the connection was made, the charging symbol lit up. Instantly. It wasn't dead. It was fully charged. A full 100% battery. This was impossible. The phone had lain dead in evidence lockup after being retrieved from the alley, completely unresponsive. It hadn't been charged. It couldn't be charged. Yet here it was, humming with power as if it had just come off the charger in Lori's apartment. How? Wireless charging from thin air? A battery that regenerated itself? Nonsense. Yet it was happening. The techs exchanged uneasy glances. The rules were bending again. Next came the digital autopsy. Bypassing security protocols was easy for the experts. They imaged the phone's memory, creating a perfect digital copy to examine without altering the original. They braced for anything: encrypted files, hidden messages, traces of the strange symbol program, evidence of hacking, remote access logs, anything that could explain the symbol, the vanishing, the phone's return. They combed through every byte, every file, every hidden corner of the operating system. No calls. The call log ended hours before she vanished. Nothing incoming or outgoing around the time of the disappearance. No texts. Her last message was confirming a lunch date the day before. No emails. Nothing suspicious in her inbox or sent folder. No photos or videos taken that day except a blurry shot of her cat from the morning. No apps running in the background that shouldn't have been. No malware. No spyware. No signs of hacking or remote intrusion. No trace of the symbol file. No hidden partitions. No encrypted volumes. Nothing. The phone was digitally sterile. Clean. Normal. Boring. Like Lori Bray's life had been. Except for two terrifying, impossible facts. It had lit up with an unknown symbol seconds before she vanished, and now it sat here, fully charged, after being mysteriously returned. The lead tech slumped back in his chair, rubbing his temples. Another dead end. Another impossible brick wall. He scanned the directory list one last time, despair creeping in. Documents? Just PDFs of tax forms. Downloads? A recipe for soup. Notes? Lori used the Notes app for shopping lists, reminders. He clicked open the Notes folder. A dozen mundane entries. Milk, eggs, bread. Call mom Sunday. Dry cleaning Thursday. Vet appointment for miso December 5th. He sighed, about to close it. Then his finger froze. His breath hitched. There, at the very bottom of the list. One new note. It wasn't titled. Just a blank line. The date stamp beside it glowed on the screen. The tech leaned closer, disbelieving. He checked the system clock. He checked the phone's internal logs. He checked. Again. The timestamp was clear. 6:22 p.m. November 12th, 2023. His blood ran cold. 30 minutes. 30 minutes after the timestamp on the alley camera footage. 30 minutes after Lori Bray had vanished into thin air. 30 minutes after the phone had lain dead on the alley floor. How could a note be created on a powered-off, physically dead phone after its owner had ceased to exist? Hands trembling slightly now, he double-clicked the note. The screen filled with the blank page. No formatting, no fancy fonts, just plain text. And there, centered almost perfectly on the stark white digital page, were two words. Two simple, common words, but placed together, appearing 30 minutes after she vanished, on a phone that defied death. They were the most terrifying words he'd ever read. Don't breathe. Silence filled the lab. The hum of the machines suddenly sounded loud, alien. The air felt thick. The tech stared. The detectives behind him stared. Two words. Don't breathe. What did it mean? A warning? From whom? From where? Was it Lori? Trapped somewhere, somehow managing to send a desperate, fractured message back through the impossible? A final gasping plea? Or was it something else? Something that had taken her? Something mocking them? Taunting them? A command? An observation? A description of where she was? Was it literal? Figurative? Was it meant for Lori? Or was it meant for them? For us? Don't breathe. The words echoed in the sterile silence, devoid of context, dripping with unspoken terror. Was it survival advice in a place without air? A warning against attracting attention? Or something infinitely darker? The phone offered no clues. Just those two words hanging in the digital void, stamped with a time that shouldn't exist. The symbol had been unexplained. The vanishing was impossible. The phone's return was baffling. But this was a message from beyond the edge of understanding. A whisper from the void Lori Bray fell into. And it chilled them to the bone. The mystery hadn't deepened. It had cracked open, revealing a darkness no theory could ever illuminate. Don't breathe. In the quiet lab, surrounded by technology and logic, the investigators realized they weren't just looking for a missing woman anymore. They were staring into an abyss, and the abyss had just whispered back. Time moves on. The sun rises. The sun sets. Seasons change. Oakwood, Ohio, still looks like a quiet suburb on a postcard. Kids ride bikes down Maple Street. People queue at Maggie's Diner for the meatloaf special. Life, as it always does, filled in the space where terror had briefly flashed. But beneath the surface of normalcy, a deep, cold silence remains. The silence where Lori Bray used to be. Today, Lori's case is cold, not officially closed, never solved, just dormant, like something frozen in ice. The active investigation faded months ago. Detectives assigned to newer cases, fresher tragedies with footprints to follow, with evidence that made sense. The thick case file on Lori Bray sits on a shelf somewhere, gathering a fine layer of dust. Inside it, statements from bewildered coworkers, the frustrated notes of investigators hitting dead end after dead end, The inconclusive lab reports on her car, her keys, the alley asphalt. And the digital copies. Copies of the grainy footage. Copies of the phone's sterile, empty data. Copies of the note. Don't breathe. A file full of questions screaming into a void that offers no echo back. No body. This is the jagged edge that cuts the deepest. Without a body, there is no grave. No place for grief to focus, to mourn properly. No confirmation of death, yet no hope for life. Just an absence. A hole ripped in the fabric of a family, of a community. Did she suffer? Is she still somewhere? Trapped? Ended? Suspended? The lack of an answer is its own unique torment. It denies the most basic human need, to know, to say goodbye, to bury what is lost. No suspects. How can there be? The footage showed no one else. No fingerprints materialized. No DNA surfaced. No witness came forward claiming to have seen anything unusual that evening, except Mrs. Gable finding the phone, which only deepened the mystery. There were no jealous exes, no bitter colleagues, no shadowy figures in her bank records. Lori Bray lived a life of quiet routine, leaving no trail of enemies or hidden dangers. Who do you charge? What do you accuse? The emptiness of the alley is mirrored by the emptiness of the suspect list. You can't arrest a shadow. You can't prosecute a glitch in reality. Just that chilling footage. It exists. It's undeniable. You can watch it. You can see Lori Bray, solid and real, stepping out of her car. You can see her freeze. You can see her stare into the empty dark. You can see the keys fall. You can see her bend down. You can see the empty space where she should have risen. Frame after frame after frame of the impossible. It's not grainy enough to dismiss. Not obscured enough to blame on a trick of the light. It's stark. It's horrifying. It's proof that something happened that defies every law, every expectation, every scrap of logic we use to navigate the world. It's a visual wound that refuses to heal. A loop of vanishing played over and over in the minds of those who knew her, and those who have seen it. A ghost preserved in digital amber, and a phone that defies explanation. That cheap, ordinary smartphone became the most baffling artifact. It vanished when she did. It reappeared, impossibly clean, impossibly charged, on her own doorstep 2 weeks later. It held no secrets except one. A note created half an hour after its owner ceased to exist in our world. 2 words that hang in the air like a curse. Don't breathe. Tech experts poked, prodded, scanned, and despaired. No hidden signals. No remote access logs. No trace of how the note got there. No explanation for its resurrection. It sits in an evidence locker now, perhaps still holding its charge, a silent, dead monument to the incomprehensible. Her family begs for closure. Her mother, Janice, aged a decade and a year, her eyes perpetually red-rimmed, pleads at quiet vigils and in desperate interviews. Just tell me where she is. Just let me know what happened to my girl. Her father, Robert, a stoic man broken by the void, stares at old photos, searching her smiling face for answers it cannot give. Her sister, Emily, replays their last mundane text exchange about weekend plans, haunted by the sheer normalcy of it. They don't demand miracles. They don't necessarily expect her back. They just need to know, to have a truth, however terrible, to hold on to end the torturous limbo of not knowing if she's alive in torment or dead in darkness. Their pain is a raw, open nerve exposed to the cold wind of the inexplicable. Every anniversary, every birthday, every ordinary Tuesday grocery run becomes a fresh stab of absence. How do you mourn a ghost who vanished on camera? How do you grieve when the universe itself seems to have swallowed your loved one whole? But how do you solve a mystery that erases its own trail? That's the terrifying core of it all. This isn't a puzzle with missing pieces you can hunt for. This is a puzzle where the pieces themselves dissolve when you touch them, where the evidence contradicts itself, where the laws of physics seem like suggestions. The alley offered nothing. The phone offered only a deeper riddle. The footage offers only the stark moment of erasure. There is no trail of breadcrumbs leading into the dark forest. The forest came to the alley, took her, and left no path to follow. How do you investigate the impossible? How do you apply logic to the illogical? How do you find answers when the very nature of the event seems designed to defy understanding? You can chase the theories, the glitch, the experiment, the ancient thing in the dark, but they lead only to more questions, deeper shadows, more terrifying possibilities. They offer no evidence, only speculation that curdles the blood. The case is cold because the tools to solve it, fingerprints, DNA, witness testimony, digital forensics, even basic cause and effect, are utterly useless against whatever force took Lori Bray. So the file remains open yet stagnant. The family waits, trapped in a purgatory of unknowing. The town tries to forget, but can't quite shake the chill that lingers in that back alley. And we are left with the echoing, unanswerable question. What happened to Lori Bray? Was it science beyond our grasp? A nightmare made real? A door opening onto something we were never meant to see? The footage is the proof that it happened. The phone is the proof that the rules were broken. The family's grief is the proof of the devastating cost. But the truth remains out there. Somewhere beyond the edge of the frame. Somewhere beyond the reach of light. Somewhere in the suffocating silence implied by two simple, terrifying words. Don't breathe. The mystery of Lori Bray isn't just unsolved. It's a stark, chilling reminder that some shadows, once they fall, never lift. And some vanishings offer only the cruelest certainty, that we may never truly know what watches, what waits, or what walks away with those who step into the wrong moment of an ordinary day. Look around you, right now, wherever you are, sitting in your living room, driving in your car, walking down a familiar street. Cameras are watching, nestled in doorbells, perched on traffic lights, bolted above storefronts, blinking from the corners of your laptop screen. We've woven a vast, invisible net of glass eyes across our world. We did it for safety, for security, for proof. We trust these lenses to capture the truth, to show us what happened, to reveal the hidden things, to bring order to chaos, to shine light into the dark corners. We rely on them. We build our understanding of reality on what they show us. They are our silent guardians, our digital witnesses. They make us feel seen and therefore safe. But what happens when the camera does see? When it captures something undeniable, something stark and horrifyingly clear, something we can't explain. Not a blur, not a trick of the light, not a technical glitch we can dismiss. Something real, something that violates the very rules we built our sense of security upon. The case of Lori Bray forces that question upon us. The camera above her back door did its job. It recorded. It witnessed. It showed us Lori stepping out of her car. It showed her freezing. It showed her staring into an empty darkness only she could perceive. It showed her keys falling. It showed her bending down. And it showed with brutal, pixelated clarity the moment she ceased to exist. Not obscured, not ambiguous. Gone, erased. Between one frame and the next, the camera revealed a truth so terrifying, so fundamentally wrong, that it shatters our faith in the order the camera was supposed to protect. It showed us the impossible made manifest. And in doing so, it didn't illuminate the darkness, it deepened it. Because when you stare at that footage, at that empty space where a woman was, a horrible feeling creeps in. A feeling colder than fear. A feeling of exposure. The camera didn't just capture Lori's vanishing act. It captured the void that took her. It captured the absence as the only fact. And in that void, in that absence, a terrifying possibility takes shape. What if the camera captured something else? Something not meant for our eyes? Something that wasn't looking at Lori, but through the lens? At us. What if, in witnessing the impossible, the camera became a window for the impossible? What if, for that fraction of a second between frames, something stared back? Asterisk, something from the place Lori went. Something aware of the witness? Something that knows we are watching it? The grainy image suddenly feels less like a record and more like a reflection. A reflection of something vast, ancient, and utterly indifferent, momentarily glancing our way. The chill isn't just from Lori's disappearance. It's from the horrifying sense that the darkness isn't empty. It's occupied, and it sees the light we shine into it. Until we understand what happened in that alley, until we can explain the impossible jump on the footage, the impossible symbol on the phone, the impossible return of the device, the impossible note from beyond time, we are adrift on a sea of terrifying possibilities. We can cling to the sinking raft of logic, but it offers no answers here. We can chase the ghosts of glitches or government experiments, but they dissolve into mist. We can whisper about the old things in the shadows, but that offers no comfort, only a deeper dread. The alley remains. The footage exists. The phone sits silent. The words don't breathe, echo in the digital silence. And Lori Bray is still gone. Understanding feels impossibly distant, like trying to grasp smoke. So maybe the real question isn't, where is Lori? Not anymore. That question belongs to the family, to their endless, aching grief. It's a question rooted in the hope, however faint, of location, of place, finding her wherever or whenever she might be. But the horror of her case, the true, deep horror that lingers long after the footage ends, transcends Laurie herself. It cracks open the facade of our safe, predictable world. It forces us to confront the terrifying unknown operating beneath the surface of our routines, our cameras, our logic. Her vanishing isn't just a tragedy. It's a warning shot across the bow of our understanding. Maybe the real question, the question that should make you pause tonight as you lock your door, as you glance at the camera feed on your phone, as you walk down a familiar, shadowed path. The question that echoes in the silent space after Don't Breathe is this: what else is out there watching us? What moves in the static between camera frames? What flickers at the edge of the security light's glow? What understands our technology enough to send a symbol or a warning? What exists in the places we ignore, the moments we dismiss, the shadows we tell ourselves are empty? What took Laurie Bray wasn't just an absence. It was a presence the camera saw the result of, but not the form of, a presence capable of defying time, physics, and the finality of death itself. A presence that might be closer than you think. Watching, waiting, not necessarily malicious, but utterly, terrifyingly other. Laurie Bray stepped into an ordinary alley and encountered the impossible. Her story is the crack in the wall of our reality. Look through it. What do you see staring back? Sleep well.